perhaps they aren't that interested in seeing him after all the kind of bows and arrows that have been slung. But it does seem a sad state of affairs. You're right. I think that most people, most families will think, why can't the king spare 10 minutes to see his younger son who lives so far away?
Prince Harry is in the UK, but he won't be seeing his father, the king. This seems a little surprising, as the last time they met, the prince had flown over especially to see his father after he was diagnosed with cancer. Let's speak now to Kate Mansey, assistant editor and royal editor at The Times. Morning, Kate.
Morning.
Now, Harry's here for the Invictus Games, is that right?
That's right. He's got his 10th anniversary service today at St Paul's Cathedral. These are the Paralympic-style games that he set up a decade ago to promote health and well-being among wounded veterans. He's here for that. He had a few events yesterday. He had hoped to see his father, the king, during his visit, but it seems that the king doesn't have time in his busy schedule now he's back at public engagements to meet up with his younger son. And yesterday there was an interesting development where a spokesman for Harry said as much, said it was, unfortunate, and it was all the kind of words that he didn't say in between.
Yeah.
About that his father's got a full diary of engagements, but he has various other priorities, and clearly the inference from that statement was Harry isn't one of them.
So the inference here is that this is something that it's not that Harry doesn't want to, it's that the king just, euphemistically doesn't have the time to see him.
Well, as always with these things with Harry, if you remember that brilliant phrase from the late Queen, recollections may vary. There were people in the palace yesterday who were saying to me, well, it's unclear to lots of courtiers whether the kind of request actually went in. Of course, someone like the king's got a very busy schedule of engagements, minute by minute, it's all planned out months in advance. It's not entirely sure when that request came in, and how that was made. So there's two sides to this story.
Yeah, and still a sad story, really, because, ultimately it's about the kind of the deterioration or the difference in the relationship, which used to be a very close one. So I think we can all agree it's a pretty sad state of affairs. Now, the king obviously does have a kind of reduced diary because of his illness. How many engagements is he? What kind of capacity is he operating at right now?
Well, he is supposed to be on a reduced schedule, but it does seem pretty busy. Someone was putting it to me yesterday. So, he's still got his weekly audiences with the Prime Minister, British Prime Minister, but yesterday he was meeting with the Prime Minister of Fiji. He's still got his treatment ongoing as well. So he has that normally on a Tuesday. Today he'll be hosting a big garden party with the Queen. These are the annual kind of garden parties, traditional part of the royal calendar. And then, next Monday he'll be handing over his colonelcy of the Army Air Corps to his older son, Prince of Wales, which was another interesting kind of timing announcement yesterday, because of course the Army Air Corps was Harry's old regiment. So I don't know how Harry was feeling about all that, but the official handover for that will be on Monday.
And the thing is, just finally, Kate, we're going to have this discussion, this debate about whether who meets whom. Every time Harry comes to the UK, obviously he came when his father was diagnosed with cancer. He's come for the Invictus Games. Are there any other kind of events between now and the end of the year that will mean that he has to come and that we'll have to go through this all over again?
Well, there's nothing kind of obvious in the diary with regards to what Harry's doing, because certainly he hasn't announced it yet. But in an interview in February with an American network, he said, my work is going to be bringing me through the UK, and I want to see my family as much as possible. It's just the case that perhaps they aren't that interested in seeing him after all the kind of bows and arrows that have been slung. But it does seem a sad state of affairs. You're right. I think that most people, most families will think, why can't the king spare 10 minutes to see his younger son who lives so far away?
Yeah.
And I think that will be the kind of take-home message. Having said that, when they've had these previous meetings, some of it's ended up in books, some of it's ended up on kind of Netflix shows. So you can see, perhaps, on his point, the trepidation there.
Yeah. Kate, thank you. Kate Mansey, assistant editor and royal editor at The Times. Interesting that she said most people would think that the king would have 10 minutes to see his son. Not Jane, though, who's got in touch and said Harry and his entire family are able to come whenever they want to the UK. He chose to limit the length of his trip and leave the grandchildren behind.
Yeah, let us know what you make of all of this. Just from a PR point of view, you think they could have just had a meeting just for the sake of not having this conversation being said about them?
Great to see you all. Thank you so much. And of course, Prince Harry, we have to start with you. You know, you are behind all of this. It's your inspiration. 10 years on, it's got to feel like a bit of a moment, hasn't it?
Yes, I think it's much more interesting to hear it from Keith's perspective when I called him 10 years ago and he thought he just retired and was hanging up his boots and had less to do, not more to do. But no, it's 10 years is a real thing. It's our birthday at Invictus Games Foundation, and we're all very excited and thrilled. And you know, this really is. Sometimes you can say, you can look back and go, look at what we've done, but also, given the state of the world, there is so much more to do. Sport was the magic that I witnessed, and having just come back from Afghanistan myself, seeing the wounded, injured, and sick, and seeing the effect this was having on all the families, and just the weight, the load on defense and on the individuals and on the rehabilitation programs, there just wasn't enough being done. And at the same time, not enough celebration and recognition of those sacrifices that were being made. Again, what I'd seen on the battlefield and what I was seeing now were role models. And I just really wanted to do everything that I could to be able to help create a larger platform for more individuals and to be able to really celebrate their stories. All I can say is that every single time, every single country we go to and that host the games, the impact, the positive impact on society as a whole is hugely positive.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to have to end it there. Thank you very much, my brilliant panel, the Duke of Sussex, Sir Keith Mills, Ken Fisher. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Thank you.